A bull rhinoceros stands motionless in the tall grass of the African bush, sunlight catching the cracked ridges of skin along its shoulder. Up close, that skin sits in deep, hardened folds, thickest across the back and rump, thinner and softer in the places where the body bends. Behind the front legs, around the base of the tail, along the neck, and deep inside the ears. Those folds hide something the rhino cannot see. Ticks attach in the softer skin, where the hide thins enough for them to feed. Clustering in the creases and along the ear canal, spots a 2,000-kilogram animal with short legs and a heavy skull cannot bend around to reach. The rhino has ways of dealing with parasites, though none of them are precise. It rubs its flanks against acacia trunks and termite mounds until the bark wears smooth. It wallows in mud, coating its hide in a layer that dries and traps ticks and biting flies against the skin. It shakes its head hard enough to snap its ears against its skull, and it can twist its thick neck far enough to nose at its own flank. None of that reaches inside an ear canal, or into the fold behind a foreleg, or the loose skin around the eyes. Those places stay out of reach no matter how the animal turns. A red-billed oxpecker drops onto the rhino's shoulder on a short, direct flight and lands with its claws already spread, gripping the instant it touches down. Within seconds, it is climbing rather than walking, working its way up the slope of the shoulder toward the base of the ear. It stops, tilts its head sideways, and starts probing the folded skin at the ear's rim with quick, repeated jabs of its bill, working into a crease the rhino has never examined from the inside. The oxpecker's body suits this kind of work closely. Its feet carry long, curved claws built to grip loose or shifting skin, much the way a woodpecker's feet grip bark, and its tail feathers are stiff and pointed, braced against the hide for balance. The bill is flattened side to side rather than top to bottom, a shape that lets the bird open it like a small pair of scissors and comb through hair and skin folds instead of hammering at the surface. It crosses the body in a rough grid, covering the neck, then the shoulder, then the length of the spine, circling back over patches already checked before moving on to new ground. A rhino's skin registers pressure constantly, from flies landing, from thorns dragging past, from mud drying and cracking as the animal moves. An oxpecker weighs close to 50 grams, spread across 2 wings, a tail, and 4 narrow toes. Its grip does not pierce the skin, and the pressure of its foraging sits well within the range of sensations the rhino already tolerates without reacting. Field observations show these animals rarely respond to a bird crossing the ears or face with more than an occasional flick or muscle twitch, the kind of low-level reflex triggered by a fly rather than a threat. The pattern looks passive rather than deliberate, the byproduct of a nervous system that filters out low-level, repetitive sensations on the skin rather than reacting to each one individually. Nothing in the rhino's behavior suggests it registers the bird's activity as beneficial. It simply falls below the threshold that triggers a response. Ticks make up part of the oxpecker's diet, drawn from several genera, including Rhipicephalus and Amblyomma, the same parasites that trouble buffalo and cattle across the region. They are not the whole of it. Oxpeckers also take flies drawn to the rhino's skin, botfly larvae lodged just under the surface, flakes of dead skin, and earwax picked from inside the ear canal. Not every jab of the bill removes a parasite. Some strikes come up empty, some target insects that have nothing to do with the rhino at all, and a portion of the bird's foraging time goes toward food sources that offer no clear benefit to the animal carrying it. Studies of oxpeckers feeding on cattle in Zimbabwe recorded the birds spending real time working at open wounds rather than intact skin, drinking blood directly, and in some cases, picking at scabs in a way that kept a wound from closing over. Similar wound feeding has been documented on wild hosts as well. That behavior complicates the picture of the oxpecker as a simple groomer. A bird that keeps a wound open for its own feeding is drawing a cost from the animal it rides, even while removing ticks elsewhere on the same body. Biologists now describe the relationship as sitting somewhere on a spectrum between mutual benefit and low-grade parasitism, shifting with the individual bird, the host's condition, and the balance between available ticks and available wounds. Oxpeckers also react loudly to danger, and that reaction reaches the animal underneath them. A sharp, hissing alarm call and a sudden burst upward off the skin can travel the moment a bird notices movement or catches a scent the rhino has not registered yet. Researchers working with black rhinos in South Africa's Hluhluwe Imafolozi Park tested this directly, running repeated approaches toward resident rhinos with and without oxpeckers present. Rhinos carrying birds detected the approaching researchers far more often, with detection rates climbing from roughly 23% without oxpeckers to close to 100% with them nearby. Detection distance more than doubled as well, and each additional bird on the rhino's body added roughly 9 more meters of warning. Rhinos see poorly at any real distance, and a bird stationed on the back functions as an early alert for exactly the kind of movement a predator or a poacher would make. Rhinos are not the only hosts. Cape buffalo carry oxpeckers across their broad backs and horned heads, often in loose groups of birds working several animals in a herd at once. Giraffes host them along the neck and legs, zebras along the mane and flanks, and various antelope species carry smaller numbers depending on their size and coat. Warthogs and hippos turn up in oxpecker diets less often, generally passed over in favor of larger-bodied grazers with more surface area and a heavier tick load. Across these species, oxpeckers show a consistent preference for hosts too large or too poorly positioned to clear ticks from every part of their own bodies. Back on the bull rhino, the oxpecker has worked its way fully around the base of the ear, tilting into the curve of cartilage most predators never get close enough to examine. It pauses at the ear canal's edge, probes once, then twice, then shifts onto the crown of the head, moving down across the brow ridge toward the base of the horn. From there, it drops to the neck, follows a fold down toward the shoulder, and settles briefly on a patch of skin thickened by scar tissue from some earlier injury. The rhino stands through all of it, ears occasionally swiveling toward a sound in the grass, tail flicking at nothing in particular, its enormous body otherwise still. The rhino carries 2 horns built from compacted keratin, skin several centimeters thick across parts of its back, and enough raw strength to overturn a vehicle if provoked. None of that lets it see inside its own air, clear a tick from behind its foreleg, or notice a hunter approaching from downwind before the danger is close. A bird weighing a fraction of 1% of the rhino's mass covers that ground. Instead, moving across territory, the rhino will never fully know. Checking places on its own body, the animal has never once seen for itself.